What is happening on this Monday? Thanks for joining us as always. Week 2 of the Nick Cattle Show on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And man, it feels like Groundhog's Day. One of my favorite movies with Bill Murray. And as a Patriots fan and the Patriots media talking about this team, I think all of us feel it right now. I think we all feel this Groundhog's Day nature of this team over the past few years. I feel like I'm just rolling over in bed on Mondays, just smashing the alarm clock. So I don't have to talk about another game where there's just too many mistakes, too many close calls. You fight to get back. You get just close enough, but it ends up being a loss. Quickly, I want to start with this, and I want to get it out of the way because there's a lot more important stuff we're going to talk about. I thought the way that game ended last night was ridiculous. I don't understand how in the world you can reverse that first down call. If you reverse a call in the NFL, it has to be clear and concise evidence. And I watched Cole Strange falling down to the ground 15, 16, 17 times, and I did not see clear and concise evidence enough to overturn that first down call. I think the Patriots deserved another shot there. I thought they got the first down, and it was so close. I don't know how you can turn that thing over. I don't. You ruled it a first down. I think it should have stayed a first down. Not enough evidence, so let's keep it moving. And it was also inconsistent from earlier in the game when you had the Ramondre Stevenson spot. And can I give Bill Belichick credit? I tweeted out at Nick C Radio or X'd out or posted out or posted. I don't know what the hell we say anymore with that. But on X at Nick C Radio, I posted the video of Bill Belichick slamming the challenge flag down next to the official. I thought that was Belichick's best moment last night, was that moment. But if you look at the Stevenson spot, how do you tell me that you handle the Stevenson spot the way you did earlier in the game, and then you circle back to the end of the game and you reverse that first down call? It was maddening, did not agree with it. Also, I have no idea. I know this is how the quote-unquote NFL calls games nowadays, but I have no idea what Marte Mapu was supposed to do on that 15-yard penalty, the flag that was thrown on him late in the game. Fortunately, it didn't really hurt the Patriots because you had the missed field goal, but I didn't like those two calls at all whatsoever. All right, let's jump into the biggest problem, though, because that reversal was not the biggest problem. The Stevenson spot was not the biggest problem. The biggest problem last night, and the biggest problem for this team right now, hands down, no doubt about it, no matter what anybody else wants to say or try to tell you, the biggest issue facing this football team right now is the offensive line. Full stop. Full stop, period, end of sentence. And this offense is not going to be good enough with this kind of offensive line play. We can go back and forth on Mac Jones, and I'll talk about Mac in a little bit. But I'm telling you, there aren't a lot of quarterbacks that are going to survive and thrive with this kind of offensive line play in the NFL. There's just not a lot of guys that can withstand what Mac has to withstand right now because of this O-line. This O-line has been trash. Now, here's the thing. I want to point this out at the very beginning. I do think the offensive line could get better. I do believe the offensive line can improve. I believe some of these younger guys will get better. I believe that a preseason where really nobody played alongside each other is impacting O-line play right now. I do think that this O-line in 4 out of the 5 spots, if you've got Trent Brown and Cole Strange and David Andrews and Michael Wenu from left tackle to right guard, I do think you'll get to a point where you're at least solid in those 4 or 5 spots. Now, right tackle's a problem. Calvin Anderson has been a turnstile at times. That's a problem. My question is, though, will they be solid enough soon enough to help save this season? Or are we going to have to go through this and watch this and witness this, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks into this year? The offensive line is the biggest problem for this team. The offensive line right now cannot run block. They played a Miami defense last night that was putrid against the Chargers. The Chargers had 230-plus rushing yards in week 1 against this Miami defense. This defensive front, which was also missing Jalen Phillips, is not nearly good enough. not nearly talented enough to stop the run the way they did last night. And when you look at it, week one, you could talk about, well, Antonio Mafi, backup, City So, backup, all the problems. You could somewhat understand the offense and the run game not really clicking in week one. It's week one, yada, yada. Last night, Owenu and Strange back in, and I did not expect them or anticipate them to be fantastic. They haven't played in a while, so you got to knock some of the rust off. That was clear with Cole Strange. I did not expect them to be awesome, but they could not run block for their lives last night, and that is a gigantic issue. You can't run the ball against that Miami front. You're going to have problems. You get the Jets next week. Their defensive front is much better than what you faced last night. So you can't run the ball, which of course means that your offense, once again, as we saw against the Eagles, is one-dimensional. You've got a one-dimensional offense right now. You can't run the ball. You've got Mac Jones, a sitting duck in the pocket, because the defenses know, hey, if we can control that offensive line, if we can limit their run game, then we can pin the ears back. Then all we got to do is worry about running downhill, right? All we've got to worry about is attacking Mac Jones as a pass rush, because this offense for the Patriots is so one-dimensional. That's really all defenses have to worry about. Get to Mac Jones. And unfortunately, nonstop pressure. So no run game to speak of with Ramondre Stevenson, who I believe is one of the 10 best backs in football. No run game to speak of. And then you're also giving up pressure after pressure after pressure. Evan Lazar on the offensive line, he posted this earlier today. The Dolphins started piling up pressures in the second half, with the Patriots in obvious passing situations as they tried to mount a comeback. Jones was under pressure. I want you to soak this in. Jones was under pressure on 14 of his 46 dropbacks, or 30.4% per next-gen stats. He was sacked 4 times, being pressured over 30% of the time when you drop back. That is not a recipe for success. It doesn't matter if I'm talking about Mac Jones, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, name a QB, even Patrick Mahomes at times. He's had issues when his offensive line is a debacle in front of him. There's no quarterback in the NFL that's going to play excellent football consistently with no run game and an offensive line that is giving up 30, 35, 40% pressures. It's just not going to happen. And we have just some drive-killing mistakes by this O-line, man, just crucial mistakes. How many drives have died because of this offensive line so far this season? You look at just last night, first drive of the game. Right? First drive for the Patriots. Strange allows a run stuff, and then he allows a sack on the first drive over. Strange, 2 bad plays. Run stuff, sack, drive over. Useless. Then you also had that sack that was given up after the Christian Gonzalez pick, which, by the way, was spectacular by the rookie. You've got some momentum. You get the ball back, right? You're putting points on the board. You're feeling good about yourself. And what happens? Right away, you give up a sack, 3 and out after the Gonzalez pick. Inexcusable. And you go all the way to the final drive. Final drive, what happens? Sack. Sets him back to 2nd and 18. Again, you're playing behind the 8 ball here. The last play of the game where Mac has to get it to Gesicki, there was a pressure on that play. This offensive line is killing this team. It's killing this offense. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this offense has the talent to score 30 points a week. That would be a falsehood. But what I am telling you is, for an offense that's going to be likely slightly above average or above average, for this offensive line to play the way they've played, a slightly above average offense is, if everything is going right, if your O-line is playing the way it's playing right now, guess what? That slightly above average offense falls back to what we've seen the first 2 weeks of this season. The offense is predicated on a pocket passing quarterback. A pocket passing quarterback that needs help from the run game. getting no help from the run game, therefore a pocket passing quarterback sitting duck in the pocket while his offensive line is crumbling around him. It's not good. And unless this offensive line gets straightened out, this team is screwed. If this offensive line continues to play like this, and again, I don't think they will, but if they continue to play like this, if it's this much of a disaster, every game this season is up for grabs for the opposition. Every game. It's got to get better. Rate, review, like, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. Always important. More likes means more eyeballs. That's how YouTube works. So I always appreciate the support as we're starting week 2 of this show, this one-man band that I'm running here. Appreciate every single person who listens and or watches. It's always great to see some of the reaction on YouTube as well. Rate, review, like, and subscribe. All right, let's get to Mac Jones here. I thought Mac Jones played really well. I thought Mac Jones played better last night than he played against the Eagles. I thought Mac Jones made more mistakes in week 1 against Philly than he made last night. Now let's get this out of the way because I already know some of you are going, yeah, Nick, but the pick. Egregious mistake. Egregious mistake. Terrible interception. Bad throw. Bad time to make that throw. Way too risky. That is on Mac. Absolutely 100% on Mac. Bad pick. Now, I would also say, and this is not to take any blame off of Mac. Again, it was not a good throw. It was not a good decision in that moment. But I would also like to see Devontae Parker run a better route. That dude got bodied by Howard. He got pushed around and bodied through the entire route. I would like to see more fight from Parker. If part of this offense, and it is, if part of this offense is throwing up 50-50 balls to Devontae Parker, my guy needs to show a little bit more effort and more physicality and more fight for the football. He just got bodied and pushed out. So you had a terrible throw by Mac, bad decision by Mac, awful timing by Mac. You just can't have it, especially at that moment in the game. But you also had a receiver who didn't necessarily help his quarterback. So that there's no walking away from that pick. I hold people accountable. Again, I give credit when credit is deserved. I give criticism when criticism is deserved. That's what we do here on the Nick Cattle Show. Criticize that throw by Mac. Criticize that pick by Mac, no doubt. However, I actually think that interception was one of the only mistakes Mac made all night. So if you're expecting the guy to be flawless, yes, you should be disappointed. If you expect your quarterback to make 0.0 mistakes in a football game, then yes, you should be disappointed and you should hate Mac and you should say he sucks. But what we can't overlook is what Mac did as this game progressed. See, I have no trouble holding Mac's feet to the fire on a terrible, egregious pick. But I also don't have an issue highlighting some of the great throws this guy made last night against the Dolphins. He made a number of great throws. Just go back and watch the 2 fourth-quarter touchdown drives and count how many great throws Mac made during that stretch. Count them. The good far outweighed the bad last night from Mac. Fact. I have some numbers to back it up. But first, let's go over some of those plays because I like to give you evidence of what I say, right? How about that Juju Smith-Schuster play in the fourth quarter when Mac escapes pressure on the run, throws across his body, zips it to Juju right at the sideline? That was a great play by Mac Jones. Great play. How about the scramble? He had one of the only explosive plays for this offense, which is sad to say, but he had one of the only explosive plays offensively for the Patriots last night on his scramble. Again, pressure, play is thrown off. Mac sees that there's field, there's grass in front of him. He tucks it, he runs it. He gets 18, 19 yards. That's a heady play by your quarterback. Keeps the move going, right? Keeps the momentum going, keeps the chains moving as well. How about the Hunter Henry touchdown on the rollout? The play was obviously blown up. Mac doesn't freak out. He doesn't panic. He extends the play, and then he fits it into a pretty tight window to Henry for the touchdown. That's a very good play. How about the throw to Devontae Parker in the middle of the field when Mac's getting pressure straight up the middle, and off of his back foot, he throws a perfect ball, an anticipatory throw off the back foot with pressure in his face to Parker down the middle of the field. So if we're going to criticize the bad, all I'm saying is we should give credit for the good. And last night there was more good from your quarterback than bad, even with that egregious pick that he threw. The two other fourth quarter drives, by the way, just destroyed by the offensive line. Again, the post-Gonzalez sack that was given up, the last drive sack that set you up for 2nd and 18. On balance, I thought Mac played really well. You know, not many quarterbacks, given the circumstances, would have played better than Mac Jones last night. And I have some stats to back that up. To go back to Evan Lazar, Patriots.com. Evan does great work. According to Next Gen, Jones was 7 of 10 for 58 yards and a touchdown while under pressure. His passer rating, Mac's passer rating last night under pressure was 117.9. If you're expecting more, you're expecting elite quarterback play. If you're expecting more, you're expecting Tom Brady walking through that door. As a matter of fact, Mac Jones's completion percentage over expectation. So what you would expect Mac's completion percentage when he was pressured, Mac actually outperformed that expected completion percentage by over 22%. He completed 4 of 6 throws for 36 yards and a touchdown when he was on the run, something he doesn't do great consistently. So you look at these numbers, you look at some of those big-time throws in the fourth quarter, Mac Jones is capable of making quote-unquote winning plays. Phil Perry, someone else that I respect tremendously, from NBC Sports Boston, also tweeted out some next-gen stats on Mac Jones. Mac's aggressiveness, his percentage, which means throwing into tight windows. Jones was the 5th most aggressive quarterback yesterday across the NFL. He was the 5th most aggressive quarterback with tight window throws. And do you know what his completion percentage over expected was? 11.2%. Mac Jones had the 6th highest completion percentage over expected in the NFL yesterday. So when people say, oh, of course, Mac Jones had a high completion rate because all of these passes are easy. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. These stats would tell you otherwise. These stats would tell you that Mac was really good under pressure, that Mac was really good on the run, and that Mac Jones outperformed what should have been expected of him last night, even with the terrible pick. All right, don't forget to rate, review, like, and subscribe to this podcast. Appreciate every single one of you that do that. It is so vitally important to us here on the Nick Cattle Show, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Pods. All right, final person I want to talk about today, and we'll have a lot more on this game tomorrow, trust me. But let's talk about Bill Belichick to end today's pod. The first thing I want to bring up is benching Pop Douglas. And I know a lot of people are talking about this. There are different people on each side. Belichick should have benched him. You can't afford turnovers with this kind of offense, with this kind of team right now. Then there's other people on the opposite side saying, yeah, but you can't bench Pop. You can't bench a guy like that. I actually agree with the latter. I don't like Coach Belichick benching Pop Douglas last night after the fumble. I can't stand the decision. You need somebody like Douglas in this offense. This offense lacks explosivity. You need somebody who can make the explosive play. You need somebody, when your offensive line is crumbling in front of your quarterback, you need somebody that can win quickly at the line of scrimmage and then give you some freaking yak. There's no yak on this football team. Juju's on one leg. Devontae Parker isn't a yak monster. He's the 50-50 guy. You don't have receivers right now. Kayshon Boutte was inactive last night. Kendrick Bourne does not consistently win with speed and explosiveness. You need somebody that brings that element to this offense. And to bench Pop Douglas, to, I guess, teach him a lesson that he knows, not to fumble the football. I'm sure Demario Douglas understands that turning the football over and fumbling is a bad thing. But by teaching, quote unquote, Demario Douglas that lesson, you're punishing everyone else on the team. You're punishing everyone else on the offense because you're taking that crucial element off the field. Now Mac Jones has nobody who can consistently win at the line of scrimmage with quickness. Now Jones has nobody he can throw to on a screen pass, a bubble screen, that can make a move or two moves or three moves and get 15, 20 yards out of it. Now, Ramondre Stevenson has wiggle. I'm more talking receivers and tight ends. And when you talk about the explosiveness, the only guy at wide receiver that has explosiveness, true quick twitch explosiveness, is Demario Douglas. And you took him off the field because he fumbled. And you're also saying that Bradley Chubb in that moment doesn't deserve any credit for the play he made. That's a very good play by a veteran. That's a very good play by a guy who didn't give up, chased Douglas down from behind, and punched the ball out. That happens in the NFL. You don't have to bench the guy because he fumbled. You need that element. It limits your playbook. It makes it even tougher for your quarterback who's already trying to climb uphill with this offensive line and zero run game. You're also crushing his confidence. And certainly Pop can come back from this, and hopefully he does. But I think you are needlessly taking a shot at a young player's confidence, a young player that I think you need in this offense. I mean, what happened with Ezekiel Elliott last week? He fumbles in week 1. He gets right back out there. Where's the consistency? Oh, it's because Zeke's a veteran and Douglas is a rookie. Does that mean that Zeke is less prone to fumble next time because he played than Douglas is because he was taken out? I don't get it. As a matter of fact, I would argue that Elliott's fumble was much more careless than Douglas's fumble. But Douglas gets benched and Zeke stays in the game. And if you're so worried about Douglas not taking care of the football, then why is he returning punts? You have trust in him on special teams to return punts, but not as a wide receiver to carry the football? Is there less inherent danger by turning the football over on special teams and turning the football over on offense? The hell's the difference? Some would argue that returning punts is tougher than catching a screen pass. But he's out there to punt return, but not out there as a receiver. Absurd. The other thing that I believe got overlooked because so much happened in this game last night, one more decision by Belichick that I vehemently disagree with. And I disagreed with it at the time. Again, you can follow me on X at Nick C Radio. I hated with the heat of 1,000 burning suns, the decision by Belichick to punt the ball when the Patriots were looking at a 4th and 4 from Miami's 46-yard line. Third quarter, 4th and 4, you're down 2 touchdowns. You're on the plus side of the field. You're at the Miami 46. Have some guts. Have some guts. Go for it. 4th and 4 from the Miami 46. You're down 2 touchdowns. Go for it. I don't. Why are you punting? Why are you punting in that spot? And you look back at week 1. Again, lack of consistency from your head coach. Week 1 against the Eagles, Bill can't help himself but go for it on 4th down. 4th and 8, 4th and 3, 4th and 12, 4th and 17, 4th and we're going. Nonstop going for it on 4th down. When your defense wasn't playing as good last night as it was against Philly. So you go for it when your defense has just dominated the matchup. You go for it. You go for it. You punt the ball away down 2 touchdowns on a manageable 4th and 4. You punt the ball away down 2 touchdowns in the second half when Miami's offense had moved the ball. Now, I thought the defense played well last night. Don't get it twisted. But my point is, you're watching that game last night. I was more scared of the Miami offense last night than I was of the Philly offense in week 1. I had much more confidence in the defense being able to come up with a stop in a 3 and out in week 1 than last night. So the lack of consistency, I thought you should have gone for it there. And maybe if you go for it and you make it, you continue that drive and you put some points on the board. You're either aggressive or you're not aggressive. You got to choose a path, Bill. Rate, review, like, and subscribe. Again, it's the Nick Cattle Show. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. Give the thumbs up. Give us some reviews. Those 5-star reviews help an awful lot. Everything matters. Everything matters to this show right now as we try to build it from the bottom, from zilch. We try to build this up. Appreciate every single one of you in the community. We'll continue to do this every single day. Back tomorrow with more thoughts on the Dolphins, Patriots. Yet another loss, another stumble by the Patriots, another close game that they could have won possibly, but inevitably fall short. We'll talk to you tomorrow.